For today, our guest is an actor and writer known in several community rap battle roles, most notably with Mr. J, and best known for those Discord GIFs where he plays Toby Fox. It's Kleme, or DemiClemi, here today. And we've had guests so far that have been ERB fans as long as I have at this rate, because he was an early ERB Forum member, so we'll get to talk to him about that today.
Yeah, he's definitely one of a kind. He's quite something. Really awesome, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, look, Kleme's here now.
Shit! Jump scare. What's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, yeah, we do hear
Welcome. Yes, we can. Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Welcome.
Thank you.
Wondrous. That's right. Yeah, pleasure to have you on board. Absolutely. We gotta have some bit of diversity here. Yeah, that's what matters. So.
Yeah, that's going to be fine. I think I will need some. I might be a bit slow when I'll talk because as you can hear, I'm French. Like I spent 99% of my life speaking and thinking French, so the difference is sometimes hard to make.
Oh yeah, we got
it. Yeah, no problem. You can definitely understand everything. Don't worry. I think the accent is more of a flair, bro. So we have some. It's gonna have some diversity though. Hey, it might be a challenge on both of us, but it doesn't matter though because you're on the show. So welcome.
Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, this man is a legend. I compared him to Peter Oppenheimer. I think he's better than Peter Oppenheimer. So you probably best know him for that. And among other roles that I can't name at the moment, but we'll definitely transition into that though. But definitely, how you been?
I'm good. I've been good. I'm right now. I'm at my mom's house for the holidays, so I have a lot of time to chill.
Okay, sweet, man. That's awesome. I'm glad you managed to make some time for us, though. Yeah, I really wanted to at least pick your brain a bit, though, because you're, as we said in the intro, you're definitely amongst the OGs of the ERB community for sure. And I really didn't know you were, an entity in most of the rap battle community until very recently. I mean, I must have seen you around a couple of times though in the comment section, but I never then that I actually seen you around until your body acting roles, But God, we have so many old, people that are back in the forum days and whatnot, though. And I do want to ask you, when and how did you get into epic rap battles of history?
I think I've been into epic rap battle of history since at least the first season. So I don't know if it was 2011 or 2012, something like that. I started watching, I think it was the 5th battle at the time. It was very new to me, and I barely knew how to speak English. This was funny. It was mostly like a vibe for me than I was here for the lyrics.
Oh, okay. Which battle did you say it was?
I think it was the 4th or 5th. At least I know it was the beginning of the first season.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's very early.
I think it was that people that are Ben Franklin, the Ben Franklin battle.
Oh yeah, Ben Franklin. That was a 10th battle, I recall.
10th battle? Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's around the time as well. I was just right before that. I was just as when Napoleon was coming out. As far as the earliest memory of me seeing them goes. In order for me, like when I was trying to find out your info for how long you've been in the community overall, so I had to check if there were any wiki pages, because I'm sure I've seen your comments actually from the decades ago when I was searching for other ERBP stuff while we had Jay and Xander come on. But then there were wiki pages for you. There was one on a rap battle community Smash Bros wiki of all things, so I have no idea what that's entirely about. So that's the only one that really, gave me.
I think I was the one who wrote it at the time, because we had a funny trend in the community to try to make ourselves as Smash Bros characters.
I didn't even know they would do that. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like something, community would do, like try to make themselves Smash Bros players. And it says that you were among the oldest people in the community, like born in 95. So your first rap battles, they were in French. I would say that makes you like the first French fan-made rap battles, if that's the case.
I don't think I was the very first, because there was another who made a Pokemon rap battle. I don't remember the name. I think it was something like Je fais chier des jeux or like something like that. I know he was the first.
Oh, okay.
It was clearly the first guy who made videos and all. He was also the one who kickstarted 123 Lunatic's career, because he made a rap battle with him inside.
Oh yeah, I really have nothing. Most of my knowledge on just the general rap battle community, it's also kind of limited because I've more gotten into them recently, like more find out stuff on that. So anything like foreign, like different language, Keyblade at best, I knew some. Anything else, but I wouldn't know about anything like Pokemon ones.
Yeah, there's a very special subculture of French rap battles that has been made aside, which is why sometimes when you see a French creator, you can see it's mostly inspired by more different stuff. Like you can see it's mostly drawings and very flashy pop type of editing.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because it's mostly inspired by something else than what you can usually see. Like most Americans are inspired by ERB. And us, we were inspired by people inspired by ERB, so it's kind of a subculture.
Yeah, and in terms of the best known French people in the fan-made community, it's technically FanMadeStuff with Guy versus Joker. I wanted to know if you mentioned at some point how you tried to know anything about them, given that you're from the same country.
Yeah, I mostly know I know the name of people who work on this rap battle, but never really met them, never really talked to them. Yes. But it's funny because I know the editor worked in a place where I also worked before.
Oh, and that was related to the Guy versus Joker one?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I figured if I don't know how you can really find the team. I know they showed in behind the scenes that they were getting makeup done and costumes. But yeah, I think to try to actually get them, the only other thing that they had on their channel, which I think it was Sid that pointed out, there was an attempt at doing like French diss raps for hire with a guy who also looked a lot like Lloyd, the French Lloyd. But he was, yeah, I don't know if there's like some sort of, like they left anything behind as to hints as to who they really are. Because they kind of had their names, I think Robin and someone else. But I have really no clue if anyone ever tried to get a hold of them. Because a lot of people are really like to meme that all the time. Like it's probably the best known fan-made rap battle besides like, I don't know, the Mr. Beast one.
Yeah, to be honest, I think if I really wanted to, I could like try to reach out on one of the guys because I follow one on Twitch. But I'm very scared that if I ever mention this, considering all the stuff that happened, I would like get banned on the spot.
Oh yeah, like you said, oh we're a fan of your Guy versus Joker, and he just blocks you immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, something like that. I can
Dude,
imagine.
That's one of the most impacting memes rap battles to ever exist. Like it just became such a joke and so synonymous with ERB, not just ERB, and just on an overall rap battle community, stuff. So this is kind of weird how it just blew up, and all of a sudden it's just getting a bit of a resurgence ever since it's been re-uploaded. So it's kind of funny how people are, oftenly joking about it, and it's hilarious, and I absolutely love it. Unironically, it's not a good battle, but it's quite something. And the fact that Xander was also gushing about the visuals of how closely, nearly identical it is to an ERB. It's kind of ridiculous. So
yeah,
the lyrics say otherwise.
They went all in, even on the backgrounds too.
The very funny thing about this battle is how at the very beginning, people were, when they released it, people were like, "Wow, it's amazing! It looks so good! It looks like ERB." And then, like a couple of weeks later, people started saying, "Hey, what the fuck? What's with these lyrics?" And then the bad reputation started going.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's so many of those now. Like you look back at them like, oh man, how can people have approved this? Like way back then, it was their childhood for some reason. Now we're looking back. Obviously, ERBP has those moments on it. A few other infamous rap battle, like even not just that's not the only Joker rap battle that had like a weird, so bad it's good type of categorization. Also,
I see which one you mean.
Joker versus Michael Jackson. That one is also hilarious to me. I remember watching that and I'm like, oh wow, this is bad, but it's kind of funny.
I think to be honest, I would say there's a lot of French culture in this battle. Like I would say like in stuff we call rap contenders, which is a bit of our underground series. There's a lot of mostly sexual stuff rather than what you can see in ERB, which is kind of family friendly, lights banter stuff.
Yeah,
I think it translates very poorly for this type of medium.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I'd figure, because I have really no idea how the accents are kind of all over the place. It's kind of funny. They're not even trying to really make it sound. It's almost the Joker level, but it's like very weird levels of it. It's funny.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Oh man, yeah, it sucks though because those guys have immense talent in the visual department. It sucks that they didn't really make more than they should. And hey, listen, all they needed is this one hit. They dipped. That's it.
And they could have.
That's all they had to do.
They could have done the first Michael Bay rap battle was with George Méliès. Did I pronounce it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Georges Méliès.
Yeah, I would have
That
loved
would
that.
have been funny. I think, to be honest, I don't think they would have done more than this. Like, I would assume this was more of a proof of concept. Like they were able to do this and maybe like show it to sponsors, or at the time we had a lot of channels that were sponsored by the CNC, which is basically TV and stuff like that give money to YouTubers and on TV projects and all.
Oh, interesting.
And they could make something out of it, but in my opinion, the reason why they did not make much is not only because the first one was kind of bad, but also because they didn't get any funds.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I would think, when you're saying like who they can show this to, obviously not their families, but I'm thinking, it's back then there wasn't a concept of family friendly for sponsors. But I would think, as soon as they mentioned how they're wanting to like just fuck them annually, that's immediate, like no from anyone.
True.
Hey, can you imagine those guys being funded under fucking Maker?
Oh, wow.
Imagine that shit.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
It was going to happen with ERBP too. Xander's told us that, but man, there were some shady things going on with that.
But yeah, it was mostly French culture. You can't. I think it was mostly early 2010 humor in France, which was a lot of sex jokes and fucked up sex jokes as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of guess that they're coming from if you explain it that way. But even then, to anyone else, it's like they look at them weird.
Oh yeah, they're correct.
All right.
So but they still get praise though.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's some good stuff.
In some way, ironic praise. So I wanted to know, because in really some ways, now that the forum is really gone, like I guess they don't keep the domain site for ERBOH.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely gone for.
Now you have basically, to you and other forum members, which I've interacted with a few before, mostly like Jira Chibi and a few others that you have in your server dedicated to it. So what do you recall as to the forum? Obviously, sometimes Peter, I think Lloyd as well, maybe other crew members that they went. How was that when they first came by, those experiences, if you got to interact with them?
Mm-hmm.
I think I did interact with Nice Peter at least once. He was named Blue Socks or Dirty Socks, something like that, on the forum.
Wiki also says that too.
Yeah, he went and asked for like matchups and asked for feedback about stuff. I remember he once complained about ERB compilations other people made.
Oh, yeah.
So we kind of tried to tell him maybe you should try making your own. And I think he did at some point.
Yeah, until 2018 or 19, I think, was when they actually started.
Yeah, that's the other funny interaction I remember. That not really a Nice Peter. It was mostly Maker Studio when they tried to buy the forum, so they could include it on their official website that is also dead, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like they tried to reach out to Diane, who was administrator. Or maybe Rob, I don't remember. But they tried to ask for the forum in exchange for maybe $100 or $100, and and of course they refused, and so they tried to make their own bootleg version of the forum, which was kind of fucking shit and died immediately.
Well, I can imagine why. I mean, geez, you never interacted with Lloyd ever?
I don't think not during the forum days, but. Yeah, I don't think I did.
But now in the
Patreon,
I believe, because you are there for a while right now, right?
Yeah, my scumbag Patreon.
That's thing. But anyway, I mean, yeah, it's really right now they're kind of only guaranteed, not even too guaranteed. Like you might be lost in the conversation, but it's like the only place where you can actually do it nowadays. Because sometimes you may catch them in the wild. Peter may comment through ERB2, as we managed to get a few people in our server. But for the most part, what would you say they're still like now? Like, do you think there is a difference in how they're treating the series back then compared to now?
Yeah, of course. I think, in my personal opinion, I think they kind of put this ERB thing aside, more a side project. That wasn't really when I try to, put quality over quantity, even if, in my opinion, I don't really see this like that, but I kind of think they have a lot of other stuff to manage. I know Lloyd has a comedy club to manage, and Peter, I think, has his own life, his own stuff to deal with.
And family.
It's kind of more of an artistic project, and I think they expect people to be on their Patreon mostly to help them as an artist rather than for the project itself.
Yeah, I think, to me, anyone really can kind of notice. I actually just added, like, say, someone they followed Peter's blog from way back then, just before he even started ERB, actually. So we were talking a bit about it. So he does have these views as to how, there's a certain change, as you've said as well. It's kind of like similar approaches that they're doing now. So it's very different. But I just think it's kind of obvious they are still wanting to hear more. I mean, they're still putting out reaction shorts. They're still putting out updates on the Patreon that they'll come by to get some feedback. But for the most part, if it's getting like, I know right now it's annually and they're promising to at least do 3 battles this year. Even then, it's not that they're going to want to really keep it up. Like Lloyd is pretty close to 50. Peter's also getting there. Like I'm kind of hoping they know how to get through the process a lot more, because to me, a little ridiculous that fan-made rap battle channels, of course Mr. J, as you work with him closely, and many others, they know how to put the rap battles. It's not like that they're doing the highest quality as ERB can, but they do know how to make it go faster so that it gives fans what they want. And I think they could still expand their crew to actually do that. I kind of got that feeling that maybe they're trying with that in the Ford versus Marks BTS, but I just can't really see that it's guaranteed to really continue after these next set of battles will be released, and then from there what can really happen, because they're not gonna really want to keep it up.
Yeah, this is a good thing you say this, because I've watched recently a very interesting video about this. I think it was called 7 Deadly Art Things, and the person who was talking about this was mostly talking about the deadly things in art. And one of the points who was very interesting was I think it was either sloth or greed, which was when people don't really want to complete a project, or at least keep going on a project that people want to see more, like Game of Thrones, for instance. But at the same time, they'd rather smother their own projects rather than have it raised by somebody else. And I think it's mostly the big issue with ERB right now. Like they could maybe give it to somebody else. Could don't know, maybe Zach or other people, and have them keep going with the project, so it could have a bit continuity. But right now, I think they can't really let it go, and kind of trying to shitifying their projects, so they could be the ones who make it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of really go forward with the writing more than anything. Like if they have a certain amount written and they're ready to go ahead with performing, obviously a lot of the bulk is more putting effort into the editing and how it will look. But that doesn't mean that they have to go to the complete distance of, everything has to one up previous battles. Like we are fine with season 2 to 4 visuals or editing and backgrounds. I just think they may push themselves a little too much. That's why I would want, you said Zach, I don't know if he's really too busy to really get to it, because it took a long time for him to come back. But in the case of, say, I don't want to leave it also only to the patrons. A lot of them are just fans, but not people who really know the full deal. But yeah, as I said, they can reach out to other content creators, maybe within YouTube, see who is more than willing to kind of be a guiding team, not just their crew who's works on the battles, but rather someone who can manage. That's usually what happens. Say, I've seen even Jack's films have to do it. He used to do things himself, but then he said as soon as he got a council and people who are staff to him, everything was just much easier. ERB really needs to kind of get with that. But I think, as you said, if it's a side project now to them, they may not really be considering it. So that's why it's in a weird middle ground that isn't really satisfying anyone, sadly.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think we, in terms of context, we're in this weird moments in YouTube history where most of the people who were there 10 years are starting to grow old and have less interest about what they're doing, or they kind of have enough and start to retire.
Yeah, and they move on.
And I think there's a lot of, most of the artists need to have their discussion with themselves with what do they want to do right now? Do they want to move on to other projects, or do they want to keep going but maybe on a lesser degree than that's where they're doing right now? And I think right now ERB doesn't really have had the occasion to have this discussion with themselves.
Oh yeah, of course. As Red usually states, there are much more other consistent fan-made rap battle channels that you've worked on with Mr. J.
That's right.
Definitely his favorite. But I would say I want to know how you managed to kind of get with him to, get them to really be their own competing entity with other rap battle channels, that to the point where they actually managed to go viral with Skibidi versus Ban, but then they keep having this following. So how did you really get to be on board with him?
To be fair, I think with Jay, we went back for a very long time. We started working together since at least 2016, I think. It was it was, I think I did a cameo for him at the time, and we started to chat and figured out we had a lot of favorite video games in common and stuff like that. So we tried to make our own series as well, which didn't go very far. It was a Fallout for Battle. But yeah, we had we worked together for a really long time, and we kind of, I think we had the same type of personality in terms of creative, in terms of creativity, in terms of how we address this kind of stuff. Yeah. Which is why I think we keep doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and it's been great, really, because I know it's definitely been years since you kind of just had your Toby Fox appearance, and ever since then, you're kind of still been growing as an icon amongst community members. Do you have anything where you want to say that would be your favorite role, one that you had most fun working with?
Good question. I think my favorite role was I would say maybe Oppenheimer, the one we did back in August. I don't think it was the best role ever, but it was so funny to film. I was in a call with Gian and Jay, and we kind of fucked around with ideas, and we threw different acting ideas, try to see what would be funny to do. We also, of course, had a storyboard we kind of follow, so we knew we would have at least a good finished project. But yeah, it was mostly we kind of throwing ideas around and try to build on it more and more. I know the car scenes we did was clearly something we did on the spot, because we figured it would be very funny to have Oppenheimer on the back of the car where Barbie and Ken would drive.
Oh yeah, even to that, I managed to do it before ERB did.
True.
Exactly. That's the best part. Listen, how does it feel to be compared to Peter's Oppenheimer now, or to be amongst another iteration of that's not really Peter's?
To be fair, I don't think it's a very it's not a Mr. Beast level of comparison.
Yeah,
but it's very funny for Toby Fox at least, because Toby Fox, I still have people who think I'm Max Picture is Toby Fox sometimes.
Oh yeah, I saw that before. How you were confused.
Yeah, I think. On Google, I think on Google Image, at least, there's still some people who see my picture and think it's Toby Fox.
Yeah, you pointed that out before. Though I also saw that there was a meme share, because I know you share with the account for ERB posting, along with the the original person who made it. And you said something regarding Peter singing something on a Red radio show in 2006. I saw that meme come up as well.
Yeah, that's a very odd blog post he did. Which is very interesting, where ERB come from, because the main difference to me between ERB and, for instance, any FanMade, which is why I think there will never be the same, is because Nice Peter comes from a very different type of artistic background than most people who make FanMade videos. He is from mostly improv artistic scene, where he goes on scene and improv songs. And I think ERB is very inspired by this. There's a lot of mostly, funny quips they get on the spot rather than try to overthink it. Whereas for most of the FanMail battles, they're mostly inspired first by ERB, but also they are very influenced by nerdcore and writing session where there's a lot of people who will come, who will try to think about the smartest, the funniest type of lines they could make.
Yeah,
I think there's a different type of process for both, which is why you can see the creative difference at the end.
Yeah, that's true. You did point it out before. It's either you kind of categorize in kind of three ways. There's ERB, who's kind of really untouched. I think a few people really kind of just maybe say Keyblade could be amongst one that's their own genre. So ERB kind of does that. Then of course FanMade battles, the general ones where just about any channel, they can be good, they could be regular okay. For the most part, it's they have writing sessions and they'll do it their own style, and they don't kind of leave it there for when it's done, and they'll upload it. But then there's a few others who kind of just want to perfect it more, and they'll get some really creative concepts. So I think that's where a few of them, they can go above and beyond, or be the above average category. But I think for ERB, they could, obviously Peter and Lloyd, they're only human. They're not going to just know the best, whatever is like comes from the heavens and they'll know it immediately. They just managed to think of something and it's great and the battle will be memorable for these types of lines. But there's always room to improve. That's really what the server is more than anything for as well. Like if there's any feedback that we think ERB could do, just earlier today we had one on Freud versus Teresa. I actually think the fact that Freud could be dissed a lot more, but if Freud himself could, like, say, clap back on the psychology of how, hardcore Christians could be nowadays and kind of like put Teresa on blame for, like, pushing Christianity so much on the media, something like that could really work. Of course, it really depends on who brings it to their attention for them to like it, a battle. That's what I think is a little maybe, like, the Patreon could be good for that, but it could also be that they just kind of miss out because there's so much, like, an avalanche of ideas that they're not going to get to them all, obviously. And then whatever's in the final product, that's why I say really they should have proofreaders, because they didn't when I was there, and as far as I know, they still don't. I would really want to at least let them know they should have proofreaders more than anything. I would really think that feedback is necessary, even for someone of their caliber. They can always improve.
Yeah, I agree very much. To be fair, I think it's not just for ERB. I think it's a very universal issue in terms of rap battles as a whole. I used to call them, we had some rating session back then with GM raps and stuff like that. Most of the early series were like that, where we would drop a Google Doc in a public server, with a lot of people who would be writing, and people would join the Google Doc and start writing like right away. And I would cut this like first come, first serve. And a lot of rap battles were ended up like that. They were projects on a very quick writing. That had a lot of people write for it, but not really communicate with each other. So you have a lot of repetition or like boring lines and stuff that could have been written better, but didn't because it was again very quick. And I think it's the most battle would need kind of a match for you without the try hardness, kind of proofread.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I do get that happens because really it just depends on like a few factors, but it's more that like back then fan-made battles would always just be something so dumb that it's memorable. You wouldn't say it in a battle, but it's just like a product of its time. So it's funny to people who go back on them. Now they do want to, like, some will take it so seriously, but they're just putting in for the references that they know how they have to have, but it's not, like, said too cleverly. Some may really falter in the sense of, that's why it doesn't feel too much like ERB. That's because they're just like making what they need to after writing from reading on Wikipedia. But then others will actually take it as a craft, know what should really be a clever joke. More than anything, I think rap battles should focus on being really good jokes or really good disses. And that's where you can have like the rest of the lines could just be more what you'd expect. But, if you got something good in between them, then you can have people come back as always.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, Jay's style, which I really love how he manages to mix different elements of, what you may not hear in a typical rap battle. Something that you didn't expect, like Blade as being a part of Skibidi versus Bandman, story structures. Like, there's not too many story rap battles, so I would love to see more where they have this kind of creative concept that's applied based on the characters, like bring in other members or characters as a team. So I think that one, if he does more like that, then yeah, definitely he can really stay on top of other people who kind of just do the same thing, 1v1, not too much. Like they probably just don't do 3v3s because, as they say, a little too many people. It's not going to work out if they don't get the styles correctly. But that's why I say, like, there's a really good way to view how you make rap battles. I think you already know the gist of it. So that's why I say if more people knew on it, then you can get more variety out of it.
To be fair, I think there's not the very specific type of how to write one, but I think the most important is how to use your own experience and use it to make your battle.
Yeah,
I think. For instance, Skibidi Toilet versus Ban, which was honestly there was such a low chance we would ever make one, and we ended up doing it because the concept was so much shitposty. It was a very product of our experience as I would say, for instance, it was mostly us showing funny ideas and not really knowing what we were going to do with this one. at the very first draft was just like Skibidi Toilet beatboxing against Bon Bon, who would have no idea what's going on. And then instead, EDX came and had this fucking cool idea of Skibidi having a real actual lines. That were really it was really really good, and they at least built on it more and more. They tried to include more characters. We had a funny part where we had a non-canon character come and have a verse, and we kind of played on the idea that we had no idea he wasn't really canon and stuff like that. But if you really look at it, it's really a love letter to the stuff we ourselves like outside for battle. Like I know Blady is it's not my cup of tea, but it was written by someone who loves the group and wanted to pay homage to it, which is very important because it's not just a rebuttal on the echo chamber of a battle. It's really I want to do a homage to rap and to the songs I like, and to my own subculture, because it's very it's a very queer series. A lot of gay people, there's a lot of gay people on it, so we try to incorporate a lot of gay subculture reference, and this is how it's ended up becoming this.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had a fan-made character. I do remember there was discussion on that. I didn't know it was EDX who actually said the whole thing needs to be changed. I thought it was he just kind of added onto it, but no, he just said to remake it, and it's as it is now.
It was that we kind of on each other, so he didn't come and say we need to change everything, but he showed us a proof of concept, and we kind of saw it and say, well, this looks amazing, this sounds amazing, let's keep doing it. The one I am very much hyped. I think we teased it already. I'm doing a Kurt Cobain. We filmed this back in August.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's a lot of very early air battle. Yeah, very early air battle vibes. And yeah, we kind of we are waiting for him to come back so we can finish it.
Everyone's doing Kurt Cobain, but ERB.
Oh, that's a shame.
Wow, really pathetic. That's sad because I love Jimmy versus Kurt a lot. It's like one of their long-running request of all time, since as long as I can remember, like season 2 I think is when I saw it popping up. I just don't want to do it. Oh well. I love musicians. I just everyone loves music one way or another. Obviously the world is surrounded by music, and it sucks, man, because I feel there is a severe lack of musicians in rap battles, and I think that they could do a lot of creative juices with them if they really wanted to. I mean, the only hurdle is, emulating the style is very difficult, and I can understand that. But come on, man, they're easily, easy enough to, replicate to some degree at the very least. Yeah. So, I like to see more of that stuff. Like, I just wish more people in the rap battle community were a lot more, musically, interested. But there's not. Well, some of them are, like Jay is, for example, but. Most of everyone isn't, so that's why we see less of those. Yeah, it's sad.
It's been a decade.
More of those, I'd say.
Been a decade since ERB did it, but maybe it's like they saw ERBPs first and decided, this will be our last one. We're a little too scared.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think I will at least say in terms of FanMade, but I think there are less and less, historical characters that are being made, which is very sad. I'm still very. I really prefer battles that have historical characters or characters like musician or artist and stuff like that, rather than the fictional and pop culture characters.
Yeah, or a blend of them, because normally they do like to have historical and contemporary, and then there's interesting parallels with that. I would think when they do historical figures like in fan-made channels, they can do them well. It's just they know that they'll take a lot of time to research, and that's why ERB normally they have that bulk that they want to do of getting through all of it, make sure it's done well. But that is also partially why they're a little hesitant to keep the progress as it once was.
I absolutely adore history versus fiction matchups a lot, because I think it's a really unique blend of both worlds. And there's enough of a contrast there to make it, something like a casual viewer to be interested in the character that's popular. And, it gives you a little bit of the incentive to kind of learn about the other opponent who's obviously from a different era and, he's from a different time period. And it's really fun. I think that's awesome. Like something like Aaron Rommel versus Solid Snake is really unique to me, at least. And I think it's a really badass matchup because you got two best of both worlds. Well, maybe not so much Rommel because he's indulged with a lot of other stuff, but still a great matchup regardless. So, like, I love stuff like that. I don't know, something about history meshes well with fiction to me. I think that's a more of a fun contrast to me. That's why I like them the most. I just find them really entertaining.
I think it's a great opportunity to also get out the historical person. Like you could see that in Hitler vs. Darth Vader, which has, I think they mostly did it because it was a great way to have a character remind about all the fucked up stuff Hitler did, and you have a lot of historical versus fiction battles that are like that, who are here like a kind of proxy avatar of judging the historical character for all the flaws or the fucked up things they did. So it's less of a deep contest between who was the worst person in history. It's more like you are a historical person. Here's your mirror version in a fictional world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's right, and you actually have somebody to root for. Because it really baffles me how people are like, well, Hitler should have gone against Stalin, man. Why didn't you guys do this? Like, bro, no. You have nobody to root for then. These guys are pieces of shit. I mean, Vader is a piece of shit too, but he's in a fictional landscape where you could actually kind of side with him. Question mark, but still, you at least have somebody to root for. Where if they did that, like, that's really discomforting.
You can't get away with more stuff with a fictional character rather than the two historical character, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, yeah. Depending on history. So, well, it depends how old they are too, though, in history. So I guess, obviously if they're from the 40s, 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, obviously that type of era is more than acceptable to be written that way. They're more than right. Obviously, anything that's modern or too recent is very distasteful.
It's less about how recent it is and more about the mythos around it. There's a lot of historical characters, like mostly Attila, for instance. We don't really care about Attila as a character. We care about Attila as an icon, as an as a mythos around it.
Oh yeah.
So it's less fucked up because it's more about the stories, whether they are fictional or real, than who the character really was. I think the only matchup they really did, which was very too modern, was the Skrillex battle.
Oh yes, Skrillex for his
at the
time.
time, Skrillex was very very famous, and of course he kind of become more irrelevant with time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think the idea was around
2013.
we throw very recent and trendy characters versus some very old and historical and very famous people. So it's like old versus new.
Oh yeah, but though I will say Skrillex. So I follow this music community basically. So it's funny to me when people point to Skrillex as the most relevant character. He did put out several albums actually from last year. Got good reception from EDM fans, but like I did listen to them. They're not my thing. I will just say that. He actually has 20 million Spotify listeners per month. That's actually not too bad at all. It's got among the top 300 or 400 artists overall. So it's he's nothing to really be scoffed at. People know him from what he's still doing now. But compare that to... I was going to say, in the battle before that, now Lance Armstrong. Now that's, I would say, someone who, as soon as the battle came out, you actually did forget about him anyway, because he wasn't going to do anything afterwards in his life.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will just go back for Skrillex. I think he's still famous, but he's less of an dubstep electro icon now.
Yeah.
Which was what was the way striving for.
Oh yeah, of course, true. Because dubstep was the trend, as you said, and he was the face of that trend. Not to say he didn't adapt, because he did have a hit a few years after that. It's just a matter of during that time, it was in the mainstream. It was a big thing, especially on YouTube. A lot of people love to put that into their videos and whatnot as part of music. And then it just became a fad. But he still is remembered, at least by name. So it's not like it was too much
I agree.
against them.
That's true.
Yeah, of course.
In
terms of Armstrong, Lance Armstrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm French, so of course I know a lot of more about the character because of the Tour de France and stuff like that.
True.
I think it was during, or maybe a little bit after the scandal. So yeah, to me it was more of big middle finger to him rather than Battle trying to have him as a historical character.
Yeah, because in both cases though, there is the sense of we're using him now while people still know of them from the news, but they are still aware. They even said it in the battle themselves. It's like their big career kind of ends soon after the battle came out. But I think they still knew how to write them. Like recently, it's like the trendy characters, Elon, Thanos, as I pointed out, they will get their time to shine for the moment, and they think they know how to write them. But in the end, it's not that they're passionate about it, so it doesn't really come off too well. Now, I don't know if I could say that they're passionate about Skrillex or Lance Armstrong, but they did know how to treat them in a way that, it's not that they went down in like a body bag battle. They actually kind of went down with a fight, and they were still, even now, some people do vote for them. So I would say if ERB is going to get the character right, they need to like look at it all way, like, is the flow like going to be a memorable one, which I would say is the case for Armstrong? Are the disses like really impactful? It's like that's the case for Skrillex. So that's what I think they should be doing more, not just like introducing themselves, kind of like getting a bit of wordplay. They can do that, but it has to like mean something more.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, of course. Most of the server obviously agrees whenever we kind of like do this analytically. I think for looking at it objectively, I think that's more, I'd say, recent amongst us, because some people, they're ERB fans, but they're a little blinded by nostalgia. They like, artist versus TMNT is a big hot topic on why it doesn't work for us. But then other ones, they say it's like the best of all time. How would you say, like, say the forum members, that being probably the first community site, do you think that they kind of had that type of way of looking into the battles, or did they just kind of go with like whatever kind of pleased their ears, I'd say?
I think we had a lot of, at least most members had a lot of analytical, we would look at the battles themselves and kind of try to find what they were looking, what the way they were going for. Like, we could say, for instance, which battle were written for, to try to write on the rivalry between ideas. Like, Steve Jobs versus Bill Gates, of course, or Thor versus Zeus. And there were also battles which was built on the idea of teaching history, which is I think kind of a debate sometimes. Like, for instance, I think Tesla versus Edison was mostly about teaching people history rather than playing on their rivalry.
Oh yeah, true.
And we had a lot of back and forth about this. We made some, I remember we made some bingos, like we were trying to find before the battle was released. Because, fun fact, for a very long time, the battle used to be leaked, like 3 days before they were released, because TuneCore kept fucking up the audio teasing.
I remember those.
So we could hear some teasing, we could hear the audio before the battle would be released. And so we tried to imagine what the final output would look like. So yeah, there was a lot of, maybe not as much as today, but there was a lot of trying to understand what they were going for.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think maybe back then you could probably give more leeway because, you felt like Peter and Lloyd are kind of grander than most channels. And, a lot of, even if you tried fan-made battles, you didn't have as good of understanding as they did. Nowadays, it's kind of like equal. Like maybe the products fan-made battle channels could make aren't still going to be as good as ERBs on average. But there are some that they can make it and they're still like B tier, A tier ERB quality. So it's like, the person who's making them, they actually have a better understanding of that. So you kind of judge it on like, well, this sounds, even though it's ERB, it sounds more like if a fan-made battle channel was doing it. Like I could say that for Tolkien versus Martin, or even Laura versus Indy, which was recent. So that's kind of how some people are taking the standards. Others will be like, obviously fans may, fandoms, I would say, to certain characters, they'll definitely get, pissy about, say, Doctor Who. Obviously, I can understand Doctor Who. They were very basic on it. But I think, if they're not pleasing it enough to the point where they feel like it's a little hollow, like they weren't really going to try to be passionate about this, then that's where, you can get the criticism, because a lot of those can age really badly in the sense that, you understand these characters, but they kind of didn't. They just kind of like wanted to use them for that moment.
And to be fair, I think a lot of characters that are badly represented is also because they're still trying to first look for the comedic effects, and afterwards they try to find how to make it look as accurate as possible.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes they can get the character down. I do love it when they nail a performance. Peter, you normally don't know if he has it in him, but when he did Joker or Austin Powers, a lot of people loved it because he actually went like a huge step up to the point of where maybe he could even do it better than Lloyd could. But those are kind of rare. Usually Lloyd, he can nail them. I said before, even Peter's hits are probably just as many as Lloyd's misses. Peter mostly just kind of can play himself and also like give character or exaggerations, make it more comedic or charming, I would say. A lot of people did notice that about him as well.
Yeah, I think it's mostly inspired by their own improved values and experience they had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say the fact that it's kind of like ERB kind of started with like everything locking into place to the point where, where it is now. If like one thing kind of messed it up so that we wouldn't manage to get the whole series to where it is, it was possible. But, with Lloyd being how he is of not just rapping because he was really good at freestyling, but also that he knows comedy very well, that he wanted to make something like this. I think a few people, they have good amount of ideas and could also be into jokes, but I think, well, obviously they have Peter and Lloyd have more experience with them being in their 40s now, but when they started they were in their 30s. But some of us, life is still kind of managing to get to us to the point where we develop more. So that's why I say some family creators, like they're really talented. You can say Fight Marker, as young as he is, he's really good with knowing how to make something out of a battle that it's just funny to you, but also still works as a rap battle. Some people can take years to really kind of master that. And that's why I say, like, Jay's crew, they really know how to make that work as well.
I see.
Yes, listen, your body acting is extraordinary with your mannerisms and facial expressions. You really do go the extra mile for your roles. You really do try as hard as possible, and that's really good. I'm not sure if, actually, I might even know. Actually, I also want to ask. You mostly just do body acting, right? You never actually did a rapping role and never voiced any characters before. I could be wrong though. I just want to clarify.
I absolutely did some voice acting, but they were not really great. Honestly, I'm not a rapper, and I'm not very interested in being one. So okay. I used to be in the ERB Battle of Fiction crew back then, and I had some voice role, but we kind of scrapped them because they're not good.
Oh, I actually wanted to ask you how how did you come across ERBP?
I came across ERBP because Xander and I think Froggy as well, and I think it was Harry Potter. I don't remember the exact name. They were on the forum as well. So we firstly reached out on the forum. We talked about a lot about rap battle series, and then we started adding each other on Skype at the time. I talked about a lot about with Xander. Mostly we played game, but also he showed me a lot of projects they were making. I remember I was in a call with him at the time when they were making Eminem versus Macklemore, and he was showing me how he was making it, and it was After Effects. I don't remember what was the software used. I think Sony Vegas. But yeah, It was mostly like the first step in terms of FanMade rap battle. How he was proud of improving the concept they were having.
Listen, I just can't get over that battle. That battle is way too hilarious, dude. I can't get over it. It's such an ensemble of just mismatching of what they were doing. I'm like, man, it's funny. I think ERBP is probably the most that's done anything Eminem related, I'd say, between most fan-made channels, and it's super hilarious. And you know what? I'm glad that Garrett got to reprise his role in another battle, and he does emulate his style super well, and you can tell he's a fan. He does a really good job at for what he has. But obviously that battle was not really not something you look back onto, man. I remember when the dislikes and the likes were the same. I'm not sure if they were the same now, but I remember. Yeah, I actually remember in the comments where someone, I think it was the ERBP channel, someone typed it. I'm pretty sure it was Xander, or someone must have said it. He said, "Oh yeah, let's keep the likes and dislikes the same, guys."
Yeah,
and I thought that shit was hilarious. That battle's hilarious. I actually like it. Well, not really, but it's a really funny battle. I like it.
What I really love about ERBP at the early season is how, at the time, a lot of fan-made were mostly like trying to mimic what ERB was doing, and ERBP was maybe mimicking a bit, but also they were trying to make something more on top of it. Like they would try to have a little bit a step a little bit further than what they the previous battle than how the previous battle was. So it was kind of trying to improve upon itself every time. And so this is why you have a lot of battles that are fucking in hinge of 15-minute creepypasta rap battles, because this was really this was like we are going to make a fucking royal rap battle, and we're going to include absolutely everyone in it. This was I think this was the concept, and this is exactly why I love this early season. A lot of maybe today it's very old and outdated, but you can see they were really trying to be ambitious about it.
I honestly think that ERBP might be the channel that has the most royales. I think, probably has. It probably must be. It has to be, because, man, those guys do some crazy shit. Like the rap battle, the rappers royale. Excuse me, jeez. Imagine saying that 10 times fast. Rappers royale, the creepypasta royale.
Oh, I want to say I was reminded you mentioned before, way back when I had found out you're a forum member, that you were a part of that ERB Forum versus ERB Wiki battle. I don't know how that came to fruition. Like, was it just written out, or was it did people actually voice or rap try doing a sort of rap for it?
The battle I think is is finished. I think I still have a draft somewhere. I know my part was demoed by someone. So I know somewhere on the internet there's a demo of my verse.
Oh, nice.
But it was kind of scrapped because the idea was, pretty. It wasn't great, and we had nowhere to really post it.
Yeah, I would guess kind of, to be like, you'd have to really know them. I don't know if like the forum people knew the ERB wiki that well, because we have very few wiki members. Like there's Sulfurix, who's around for the earliest days of the wiki, but I would think like if you guys are just like going at it, but also kind of like you don't know what to really write for on the other side, then yeah, I can assume like it's sort of like you look back at it, it just looks funny to you.
Yeah, mostly it. I think it was mostly private joke between members rather than something we tried really hard. I knew the wiki because I had an account in there, but yeah, mostly very surface level jokes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see.
I think we also kind of try to make an ID box where people would post idea of DCs to make and what to talk about. But yeah, it was still the beginning of what we do now, battles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's always a fun question to ask, and it doesn't have to be for ERB. And we, obviously, I'd imagine you must have implemented your suggestion in the little forum box. But if it can't be for ERB, whatever, it doesn't matter. But what is one suggestion you'd like to see made, just in general?
I think my favorite suggestion of all time is I think everybody should at least try to make a 7 scenes royal and make their own twist to it.
Yeah, I've seen that idea.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I think it was like Dante versus 7 sins, but then it's like 7 characters that represent each sin, something like that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite type of trope to see. I remember, I think it was ERB Fiction or ERB City who did Bill Cipher 7 sins royal. And to me, it's still my favorite royal to date. It's such a funny medium to play with.
Yeah. Because you can play with the the sins tropes. You just plop in whatever, going against Dante. I think that'd be really hilarious.
And what's very important to it is that you should try to avoid making something somebody else did before. You have to make your own twist to it. It's a 7 scenes. You can basically pick anything you want.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think that'd be really fun too. Yeah, I've always kind of fancied that idea mostly just a fan made idea. Mostly, I can't ever see ERB make it the extra length for that unless they want to do that with with Dante versus Homer, which I doubt they will. But yeah, that is like a really funny, hilarious ass concept. I actually like that idea a lot for somebody to do it. I want somebody to do it. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, and though on the forum, I think you also had this other idea you loved, Edward Snowden versus Julian Assange.
Yeah, but it's mostly for the history behind it, because it was the first matchup I tweeted at Dante.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
and he literally co-tweeted my post and said, "I wanna shake your hand. This idea is amazing." And so I can keep it inside of me, and I'm still happy I acknowledge my suggestion and think it's a good idea. It's not a very good battle, but I think it's kind of in the idea of teaching people history about Edward Snowden and Julian Assange and all the people, all the whistleblowers, and I would also say the deep state, but teach people about NSA and data collect and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
kind of like what's Rap News used to make.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say Rap News. Julian Assange was in Rap News once.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Yeah, I remember seeing that because it's funny. Whenever when I found out about it, I'm like, oh wow, this came out just a month after John Lennon versus Bill O'Reilly because they did a Bill O'Reilly parody in that same video.
I think a lot of cool people like Noam Chomsky, I think, was in it as well at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's funny whenever I think of that because like Julian Assange with in a rap video on YouTube from way back then, 13 years ago now.
Oldie but goodie.
Yep.
Well, you know what? That's two great suggestions from Clemi right here. That's creative stuff. I like Neo more for Snowden, but that's actually a really good angle. I actually like what the way how you explained it. That's actually really cool. I think it sounds cool.
And with Dante liking it, I mean, I think everyone likes Dante. Of course, he's always been cool with people.
Everyone loves Dante.
Of course. Yeah, and we were just talking about Dante versus Sutton, so maybe like Dante for Dante.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome. Hopefully, let's see. But first off, it's great to have you here, man. Of course, we definitely want to have you on again, if it's possible. Of course, if the time sets right. But what's someone call it? Yeah, it was awesome having you here. It was nice having telling us forum stories, and we kind of went on a bit along with Guy Fawkes versus Joker quite a lot, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. People love to talk
side
about
of the French side of the rap battle community. Yeah, the wiki. We kind of yielded a lot of stuff from you. Your body acting roles, your future roles. Is there anything? Oh yeah, okay. Before we end off, is there anything you want to plug in? Anything you want to promote?
No. To be fair, I think the only thing I would plug it is ERB Battle, but because I'm part of it and because I think it's a very funny project to see. But other than that, no, I don't really make any series. I'd rather help people with it.
Okay, yeah. It's best to keep yourself concealed within your own bubble. That's really good. And nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it was awesome having you here, man. Thank you for the chat, and we'll definitely have to have you on whenever we can again. Though we definitely have to reprise another episode if we can. Obviously, we're trying to barely getting this up in order. So
it'd be a pleasure. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course.